Let's talk about the trend line of this. This is the bearish part of this chart. I've put on here a linear trend, which doesn't fit it very well, but we used to always think that corn yields in the past 10, 15 years were sort of linear, that they were gaining, on average, about 1.1 bushels per year. But the much better fit, if you're going all the way back to 1866, the much better fit for this trend line is a second-order polynomial, and that's the line that sort of, like Jack was talking about with the exponential growth, that you start to grow more and more year after year. And we could follow that second-order polynomial trend to figure out when the US average corn yield might reach 300 bushels per acre. I remember about 10 years ago, I was at a conference where Steve Fried from ADM was talking about 300 bushel per acre corn, and it just blew my mind. I was trying to picture how many grain carts you'd need to harvest a field like that. And there's folks who are capable of growing 300 bushel per acre corn even now. But we're talking about as a nationwide average. So this chart, this line is here. We can do the calculation. But when do you think it is? Tell your neighbor, or guess with your neighbor, what year do you think, according to this trend, if this continues on into the future, what year would we reach 300 bushel per acre average in the US? Any guesses? Anybody think beyond 2025? It is. Trust me, it is. Yeah. Beyond 2050. It is, actually. It's 2057. But that's within, I hope it's within my lifetime. God willing, right? So, so if this just continues in this upward direction, by 2057, in theory, the United States will be growing on average 300 bushel per acre corn. Now this is assuming that this trend continues like this and doesn't start to plateau, which it could do if you had something weird happen to the climate. Like if you had an actual honest-to-God nuclear war or something, I could imagine corn yields starting to fall back down. But if this just continues on the present path, that's what we're talking within our lifetime. Now, this is so bearish because you can't have this expectation that you're going to have a big bullish change in yield from one year to the next. I was in a hotel room a couple weeks ago and had Bloomberg TV on, and they had a commodity market commentator, and they were asking him to comment on every commodity. Crude oil, natural gas, silver, all the metals, cotton, corn. And listen, that gets hard. I know, I have to do this on TV sometimes myself. And one time CNBC had me on and they had me talk about jatropha, which is some crazy edible oil from Africa. And I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about it. My point is, people talking on the TV sometimes don't know what they're talking about. And that's, I have sympathy for that. But this guy, they were asking him to talk about corn, and he said, corn's going to $5 in 2019. And she said, well, why? And he said, well, in 2018, there were record yields, 178 bushels per acre. So in 2019, yields will revert to the mean, and yields will go down, and we'll have $5 corn. Well, no. I want you to get that out of your head. We should expect, as just the natural order of things of improving yields and improving hybrids and improving seed technology, we should expect as the natural order of things that yields will increase every year. Every year we should have new record high yields. And that's not so there's no reason to expect mean reversion in US average corn yields. And it would be more fun. Listen, it's more fun as a person who gets up and speaks to groups of farmers. It would be more entertaining, more pleasant for me if I was here to give you a really bullish story, right? If I was that guy saying, corn's going to $5, woo! We all leave in a good mood. But I don't want to be that person because I don't think that's very responsible. I want everybody in this room to feel reality, especially because reality is what you need to make decisions off of, what your lender wants you to make decisions off of. So I don't want people in this room to get really bulled up. I'd rather that you accept the profits available to you and lock those in.